Monday. That can mean only one thing. It's the first chest session of the week. Well, chest, shoulder, tricep and calves, that is. And as usual, starting with calves, so I put a lot of attention into them because in this off season it's definitely one of the body parts that I do need to bring up quite a bit. They are lagging in retrospect to the rest of my physique, as well as I suppose my quads to a degree. My hamstrings are definitely coming along, but overall lower body development, just to kind of transcend from that classic kind of look and that classic structure and those proportions to the more open bodybuilder, which is kind of like just more, I suppose, balanced growth all around, as opposed to being a little bit more top heavy, which I've always seen classic physique as being. It's a little bit more of a top heavy kind of category or class. So because I've obviously competed in that in the past and I'm transitioning to opens, I've got to kind of just balance out the overall symmetry and proportions, I think, between the upper and the lower extremities. So yeah, calves, and then obviously I have my 2 leg sessions, or 3 technically now, that I've split my second one up into 2 separate sessions, a glute and hamstring session on Saturday and a quad session on Sunday. So yeah, they're the areas that I'll be bringing up predominantly in this growing phase, I suppose. But as it currently stands at the minute, I am 13 weeks, I believe, into the off season. Body weight is actually sitting at around 117.5 kilo. I thought it was 115.5, but it's actually 117.5. Let's just say I had a bit of a technical issue with the scales at home. Since we've gotten here in Thailand, obviously I've been using a different set of scales. I didn't bring my bathroom scales from Australia, so yeah, I've rectified that issue and I'm actually sitting at about 259 pounds, not 255, so yeah, pretty happy with that. But enough rambling, time to get into the first working set. Rep match sets, so whatever reps I get at whatever weight on this first set, I have to match it with every other set after that. So it was actually a 2-rep PB from last week. Pretty happy with that. Again, just celebrating the small victories, because the bigger accomplishments are just made up of those daily or weekly victories that are far more insignificant in size. And so yeah, just don't just celebrate the big wins. It's a lot easier to stay on track when you do acknowledge those small improvements over time. God damn it. Oh. 4 more. About to do my 4th and final set of calf raises here, and yeah, I figured I'd just kind of touch on a little something before I do. In addition to what I've mentioned in the past, which is obviously limiting or trying to completely eliminate any kind of momentum when you're training calves to effectively stimulate them for growth, another thing that I've found is very effective is just shortening the rest intervals, so shortening the rest periods between sets, and pretty much taking them to failure or slightly beyond failure. What I mean by that is like doing continuous reps to failure, or reps with just like a very consistent kind of pause at the start and the end of each rep. Take it to failure, rest for a few seconds, kind of like a rest pause set, rest for like 10 to 15 seconds, and continue punching out more, and do that for 2 or 3 rest pauses, so 2 or 3 times, and yeah, treat that as just one working set. You get a lot more volume in, a lot more effective reps, and because of the nature of the calves, similar to the forearms, if you're wanting to directly target them for growth, they can handle a lot of volume relative, or in retrospect, to say something like the chest or the back. So for that reason, using rest pause sets is a good way to kind of just condense more total stimulus in less total sets. Take it from me, coming from someone who's got quite long legs, who's over 6 foot tall, and struggles to develop calves because of that. This works because my calves have definitely grown over the last several months since implementing these kind of techniques and strategies. So yeah. Now, considering how good last week felt when I was doing this exercise, I'm only going to do the first set at the same weight I did last week, provided that it feels good, and if it does, I'm going to bump straight up to the next plate, because I did get 15 reps at this last week for the first set, and then I believe the second set was same weight for 14, so 160 pound for 15 and then 14, in a range of 10 to 15. So if I can get the first set quite comfortably, conservatively for 15 reps, I'm just going to do a little bit more of an aggressive jump this week. Feeling a little bit more confident with chest training now, given how long it's been since the tear. But yeah, see how it goes. I just realized that the handles were actually set one notch forward. They weren't all the way back, not as far back as they could be. So I might actually keep the same weight for the second set. And if that feels really good, I'll go up on the third set, because I don't know, jumping an extra 15 pounds in addition to increasing the range of motion might be a little bit too much of a jump. So I'll put it back to what it was at on that first set, 160 pound. With that extra like inch of range of motion in that deep stretch, that should be more than sufficient at making this set a lot more challenging. Weaker side first. Now the next exercise that I'm doing after this, once I do this final set, is usually that red incline chest press machine, but I don't know what it is about it. I feel like I can get a good stretch on it, but it's almost to the point where it feels dangerous, like the machine's built for somebody much broader than me. And when I get to the top, even though the handles converge, it doesn't feel like you get a proper peak contraction. So I'm probably going to scout around the gym after this last set and look for a more suitable alternative to that incline machine press, because I'm just not a big fan of it, to be honest. But yeah, when it comes to swapping out exercises for alternatives and substitutes, as long as you understand the type of movement it is, you just have to replace it with an exercise that is the same type of movement. So an incline machine press can be replaced basically with any brand incline machine press. Preferably one that converges, allows you to bring the handles together towards the top at lockout. They will be superior to ones that just go straight up and down, because they kind of follow the action of the pec a lot better. The action of the pec isn't to just kind of like assist in the press, but to basically bring the arm across the body. So horizontal adduction. So in order to do that, having a converging machine press is going to allow you to kind of do that to a greater degree. Now, either swap it for a different machine or swap it for a dumbbell, because obviously dumbbells, you can converge them at the top and bring them apart on the way down on the negative. So yeah, any kind of pressing movement, typically that's a way to swap it. And when it comes to, say, deadlifts, hip thrusts, RDLs, they're all hip hinges, so they're all interchangeable at the end of the day, to be completely fair. So if you don't like if you don't like glute extensions, or if you don't like reverse hyper extensions, then doing something like a Romanian deadlift or a stiff-legged deadlift or a glute bridge hip thrust variation of some sort, they're all suitable alternatives to a degree. Yeah. Third and final set. Well, it would occur to me that I'm shit out of luck. This is the only machine incline press in the gym that is decent, aside from the neutral grip one that I already do on my other chest days, so I'm not going to double up on that. Yeah, stick to this one, I guess. It's been about a week since I got my CPAP machine, and I have to say the quality of sleep is a shit ton better, but I'm still getting used to having a mask strapped to my face. So to give you guys a bit of an update on that, sleep quality's improved, but the actual duration of sleep's actually gotten slightly worse some nights, just because I'm waking up with this thing strapped to my face, and then I'll move a bit too much, and then the mask will start leaking, and I have to kind of like switch it off, refit the mask, turn it back on, go back to bed. And yeah, so I mean, all in all, it's a work in progress. I definitely think in the long term, once I do acclimate and adjust to the feeling of having that on my face, that my sleep will improve in terms of like the amount of sleep I get. But until then, I'll happily settle for 4 to 5 hours of really good quality sleep versus, say, 4 to 5 hours of very poor quality sleep. Even though the duration's not much different, just the sheer recovery that you get just from the quality being better, it's so worth it. So if you guys have issues with your sleep, if you repeatedly wake up throughout the night to go to the toilet, or if your partner complains about you snoring all the time, I highly encourage you guys to get a sleep study done. If you're in a country that requires you to get a sleep study before you can get a CPAP machine. If not, honestly, I don't see there being any real negatives to getting a CPAP machine if you don't need one. If anything, it's just going to give you no benefit or advantage. But if you do need it, it's just going to level up your sleep so much. So yeah, either get a sleep study, guys, if you exhibit those symptoms, or get a CPAP machine if you're able to get one without having to go through that whole bullshit process. And I can guarantee you guys, you are not going to regret it. Second set. Last set, best set, as they say. Only 7, but still a PBD from last week, so I'm happy with that. 3 sets of 12 to 15, so a bit of a more moderate high rep work for chest now, and on to shoulders. Obviously, if you watch the last few vlogs of this training session, then you know the drill. 3 sets of this, then straight into 4 rep match sets of machine laterals. Trying to mix up some more EAAs before my second set. So, the baggie, yeah. They put about like 20 grams in this, so about half of this will be right. Or I might go 1/3. I may have gone 30 grams. That'll do. That will do, donkey. That will do. And then a pint of ice cold water, or 600 ml. Can't remember what that is in ounces. 28 ml to an ounce, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I can't figure it out. My metric to imperial math was always appalling. Ask me to solve matrices or do algebra. Yep, I can do. But convert between imperial and metric? No, sorry. Don't know why. Probably a autism thing. Oh, so good. Got a grape flavour at the minute. Just the grape flavoured EAAs from Rule 1. Tastes pretty good. I've got their other one, the golden gummy. It's like a different flavour. Not that great though. It's got a weird aftertaste, kind of like a medicine aftertaste. Similar to the aftertaste you get from the mutant EAAs. Yeah, on to set number 2 now. Actually, I might put the seat notch lower. It felt a bit too high then. So that goes. I just have to make note that I lower the seat for this set. So I don't get next week. Oh, that's better. Now, despite the fact that I got 15 reps on the first set and that second set, and that's obviously the end of the rep range for this exercise, I'm not going to bump the weight up just because of the simple fact that I think I can get better contractions on the reps that I'm doing and a little bit more control into that stretch. So I'm going to focus on nailing that before I increase the weight, because that in itself, that on its own, will be enough additional stimulus to drive the adaptation that I'm looking for, as opposed to throwing an extra weight and starting at the bottom of the rep range. Even though that's obviously, I suppose, a very irrefutable way of progressively overloading. If there's room to still improve your technique and execution, why not milk out every last bit of progress and stimulus you can get out of the current weight you're using? Because then you have a bigger runway, a longer runway, because eventually, not that it'll happen on a lot of movements or even close to all movements, but eventually down the track you get stronger and stronger and stronger. You might max out the machine, you might max out the amount of space that the machine has to stack plates onto, and then where do you go from there? You got to just start increasing the rep range. But yeah, if you extend the runway as long as possible by just milking out every last bit of progress you can make with whatever given weight you're using at that point in time, then you just allow yourself to not run into those obstacles as quickly as you otherwise would. That makes sense? Yeah. Still, don't use that as an excuse to train like a little bitch. Like if you're focusing on your technique to the point to which you're never increasing the weight, then it might be warranted to just maybe let your technique go just a little bit toward the end so that you can actually get a little bit more weight on the machine or on the exercise. But yeah, let's not go into that. Finally on to shoulders now. Only one exercise to hit them today because I mean, to get a lot of front delt work from the pressing or the chest movements that I do. And then I obviously hit rear delts on pull day. So there's no point doubling up and doing 2 lateral raise exercises when you can just do more volume on one, get the same benefit and not exhaust all of your high SFR movements in one training block. And what I mean by that is it's like, you'll find that you'll have like a handful of exercises that are very suitable for you, your structure, how you're built, in terms of the amount of stimulus, like the good stuff that you get from the exercise, versus the fatigue, the bad stuff. And so if you say you have let's just say you have 5 shoulder exercises that work really well for you, and 2 of those are side delt exercises. If you put both of those in the same training block, then when you hit a plateau and those 2 exercises become stale from doing them so repeatedly after progressing on them week to week, month to month, what are you going to rotate them out for? Fuck knows. So that's my logic and rationale behind it. And it's something that Mike Israel pushes a lot in his teachings and his recommendations when it comes to training and programming. Don't kind of exhaust all your tools in the one training block. Leave some tools in the toolbox so you have some tricks up your sleeve, or you just have other tools at your disposal that you can call upon when you can only get what you need to get out of the current tools that you're utilizing or implementing. So yeah, that's that. Enough shit talking. Thought I better quickly move the camera angle just a little bit to keep everybody with the short attention spans engaged. Set number 2. Fuck yeah. apologise guys, it's just the dial on the side of my Apple Watch keeps touching my wrist. So, five to go. A bit of a longer rest so we can get better quality reps out. I didn't quite rest long enough in that last set in the rest pause interval, and the rep quality suffered. Now, I am pretty sure, not 100% certain, but pretty sure it was seat height number 4, not 5, that was right for me. So that's what I've got for this first set, and it will be the determining factor as to whether or not I guessed right or went full fucking retard. Yeah, I'm pretty certain seat height number 4. Felt pretty good. So I'll keep it at that. And I'll have to check my training video from last week, because I think I mentioned which seat height ended up being perfect. But yeah, just going off of how it feels tonight, this feels pretty good. I'm just going to try slow the tempo down a little bit. I feel like it's just creating a little bit too much discomfort at the elbows, and usually the only time that you'll get elbow pain when you're in tricep extensions, especially overhead ones, is either when your form is shit or when you just overuse the joint, just like almost kind of like an RSI, repetitive strain injury. But yeah. 2 sets to go now, but I have to say that second set that I did with the slower tempo, it felt a heck of a lot better. So sometimes it's all it requires. You just need to make the exercise feel better, you just need to slow it down sometimes, take your time a little bit more, or just slightly modify your execution, the way you perform the movement, whether that be like a slight change in the angle of the wrists or the arm at the shoulder joint, that sort of thing. A little bit more protraction, so a little bit more reaching from the shoulder blades, or a little bit more retraction, a little bit more contracting of the shoulder blades back. Sometimes just doing little tweaks like that is enough to rectify whatever issue you're running into at the minute. Final exercise at last. Then it is home time, and I've still got, looks like 320 carbs left for the day. It's already 8:30 in the evening. So it'll be a big post-workout cereal bowl, and then some chicken and rice and a bit of dark chocolate before bed. So with these press downs, as you can probably see if you're watching closely, I'm not just going down at the elbows like that. As I come up, I'm driving the elbows back, so there's movement occurring at the shoulder and at the elbow. So there's shoulder extension, and elbow flexion occurring on the negative, like that. And then there's shoulder flexion and elbow extension occurring on the press down. That way I'm able to target the shorter heads of the triceps a little bit more effectively. All heads are obviously involved whenever elbow extension occurs, or like the resisting of elbow flexion, but you can bias the long head or the shorter heads, I should say the short and medial head, more depending on how you perform or execute the lift. Second set. That was a fucking ugly rep, last rep, technique-wise, but I'm going to give myself that rep anyway. Just focus on cleaning it up basically in the fourth and final set. Still got half a bottle of EAAs left, but I don't want to drink them yet. I want to save them for the walk home. So I've still got like a 10 to 15 minute walk back home from here. And I know I'll get parched doing that, so yeah. Delayed gratification, satisfying that short-term urge to drink it so I can enjoy it on the trip home. Similar to lifting, you got to kind of delay your gratification, not give in to having all that shit food that you want constantly for the ultimate reward at the end of the day, or at the end of the year I should say, down the track of achieving your goal. It's all the little decisions day to day that matter most. Without that, there's no bigger picture. How's that for some Gandhi shit?